Thank you. Remember, when we wait for motivation to show up, motivation hardly ever shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And we all wait for the motivation to do something in life. We say, okay, well, I'm going to watch that television program. I know I have that report to do, or I have to call these clients, but I'm just going to watch, this program. And then, it's too late now to do the report, or maybe, it's too late to call now. I'll do it tomorrow morning. And you will keep on waiting for that motivation to show up in order to be able to do something. And then the motivation never shows up. And then we get frustrated, we get anxious because we don't do what we need to do on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, we only have ourselves to blame because we wait and we wait and we wait for motivation. Here is a trick. Go 3, 2, 1, move. Get off the couch, pick the telephone up. And if you battle to pick the telephone up and to do what you need to do, then never put it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the secret. Don't put it down. Right. So once you get going, don't put it down. All right.
Gideon, can I share something?
Yes, please go ahead.
My daughter's getting married in April, and I'm going to be a grandmother in July. My best. Yeah.
Is that your great news for the week?
No. Much more. I had not been off work this whole year so far, so feeling healthy. Doing very well in my job, getting more clients, more complexes, starting good.
That's good. Well done, Susan. I'm really proud of you. Really, really proud of you. Congratulations. Fantastic. All right, guys. So I know you are all here this evening because we have an incredible special guest with us. And, what I want you all to do this evening is I really want you to interact. I really want you to participate. I really want you to listen, and I want you to see how, where, and when this has ever happened to you and how you responded in your life. So our special guest this evening is a giant of a man. He is full of life. I started off this session this evening asking, how is everyone doing? And I've often said this, I learned this from a friend of mine. When you ask him how he's doing, his response is always, I'm full of the joys of life. And the more you say I'm full of the joys of life, the more it starts becoming part of who you are. It becomes you. And you don't even have to think about it. It's just your default setting. And every single time I had the opportunity to actually interact with this human, this incredible man, this giant, I just got the sense that he is full of the joys of life. And I want to know what his secret is. How about you guys? Anybody else wants to know what his secret is?
100%.
Come on, give it up. Can I get some streamers and some thumbs up? All right.
Hey, how's it, everybody?
Yeah. So our special guest this evening is a man who is very well known in South Africa. He's very well known internationally. For those of you who don't know, he's a very accomplished actor. He first graced our TV screens as a presenter of a very phenomenal, wonderful program. I never missed an episode of Top Billing. He's also a very, very well-known movie star. He's a voice artist. He's recently joined our Paradigm Practitioners program, which is phenomenal. And I think the thing that he must be most proud of is he's also a husband, okay? And that alone, juggling all the fame and juggling all the things that could go wrong, he's also an incredible father. So without any further ado, guys, I want you to make some noise and welcome to the call this evening. I can really call him a friend because we have each other's WhatsApp numbers.
Yeah.
We have an open line. We communicate, which is really great. So my good friend, and it's an honor to have you here this evening, Tumisho Masha. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening to everybody on the line, and good evening to you too, Gideon. Thank you so much for having me on the program. Can I call it that? The program tonight. Yes. I'm so excited that everybody's here. Thank you for coming, everybody who's here. And yeah, I'm just glad that I'm able to talk to everybody about some of the things that we all go through, and I guess maybe how I got over some of the difficult things, and hopefully they can help someone else who's out there in this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Tumisho. So my very first question for you this evening, and if you have any questions, guys, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat box. Anything, nothing is off limits. Tumisho says anything that you want to ask him, anything that you want to know, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat box. And my very first question this evening to you is, please tell us, how does it feel to be famous?
That's actually a very good question. A lot of people don't really ask that question, but everyone has an idea of how it'll be, right? When I was in school, I just thought it would be everybody knows you, which is basically what it is. Everywhere you go, somebody either says hello or looks at you like they know you or points. And that's pretty much what it is. And it's something that you can't turn off, because once you're famous, you're famous. But you sometimes forget, because I don't walk around going, oh, I'm so famous, I'm so famous, I'm so famous, until a random person calls my name, right? And sometimes after a while, people know your full name. So they'll say, Tumisho Masha. And like that, with that Pretoria type of accent.
Yes.
And they'll totally get me, because I'll think, maybe I know this person. Then I'll turn around and realize I'm not sure if I do, but maybe I do. So I usually, if you see me in the streets, I'm super like nice, just in case you're a long lost cousin or someone I went to crash with in Karankua and I've forgotten what you look like. And then it just turns out that it's just another lady or gentleman who once saw me on TV. Then it's like, okay, hey, how you doing? But I think it's quite lovely, you know, especially in a country like South Africa. I think people in South Africa are awesome people. If you're famous, all they want to do is greet you and have you greet them back. It's just a way that we validate each other, which I think is so beautiful. By validating them, by people coming up to you and saying, hey, I know you, how are you? And you turning around and saying, hey, how are you? Thanks for watching my shows. So good to see you.
Yes.
It's such a great exchange of energy, because ultimately at the end of the day, they've seen you as a person and you've seen them back as a person, because by the end of it, it's more than you're just a famous guy. You're just a guy they just know, you know?
Sure. Amazing. Amazing. And
there's this great story that Trevor Noah tells, and it happened to me. But he tells it like he was in Cape Town, and this colored guy comes up to him and says, Trevor Noah, Trevor, how's it? Hey, man, come here. Let's take a picture. So this is actually what happens to all of us. Come here, take a picture. So one time this lady says, let's take a picture. And then her phone doesn't have enough memory. So she's like, why don't you take a picture on your phone and send it to me? That's just wild.
Oh my goodness. So tell me, Tumisho, you know, I think, you know, when we grow up and we go through life and we find, you know, all these obstacles, all these things that happen to us, you know, I can clearly remember my mom once told me about the first time I tried to walk. I was crawling all over the house, and she said I must have decided that was the day, and I got all of the coffee table, and everybody else was walking, and I wanted to walk as well. Got all of the coffee table, pulled myself up, and then let go of the coffee table, and I fell over and I hit my head. And I made, you know, I was crying all like crazy. My mom came running into the room, and she was really petrified because I'm the oldest of 3 boys, and you know she didn't have a hand guideline to so that you can look up, you know, to see what to do next. And she figured out that I was okay. And then about 2 weeks later, you know, I tried the other side of the coffee table because the one I tried wasn't that you know, kosher. So I tried the other side of the coffee table. I lost my footing once again, and I actually hit my head so hard I had to get stitches. So, you know, that was a bit of a disappointment to me because I tried to walk and I didn't get it right the first time.
Yeah.
Luckily, I tried it the second time. I hit my head, and thank goodness my parents never bought me a wheelchair. They said, you know, just try again. You're going to get it right. So when you go through life, have you ever experienced failure? Have you ever experienced something that you had to overcome? I mean, you're famous. You're born with a spoon in your mouth.
Oh yeah.
You just show up, and everybody
Yeah.
is just like your friend, and you just have it easy in life, right?
Well, I guess that's the idea, right? That's why I took up this job, because I thought that it was always going to be like walking on easy street. But it turns out it's actually not that rosy. Like, life still happens to all of us. I think that's something that we all need to remember sometimes when life is happening to us, because we tend to think that when we're under a cloud, it's just us that are going through this, and it's overwhelming. Because when you think I'm the only one going through this, then you think that your situation is peculiar. Once you start thinking your situation is peculiar, it becomes, I think, a little bit harder to get over it, because you're thinking, first of all, why is this happening to me? Which means you're feeling sorry for yourself. Secondly, because it's happening to me and I think it's happening to no one else, I'll probably never get over this because I'm exceptional in my pain. But then you realize that this actually happens to everybody, famous, not famous, so on and so forth. And one thing that I've had to learn from the beginning of my career is being able to take rejection, because rejection is part of the job description. It's one of our KPIs, for every one show that you get, that 5, they didn't even call you. Basically, you went for an audition and you didn't get it because you see someone else in the part that you went for. It's a very much don't call us, we'll call you kind of gig. So if you don't like rejection, you're not going to do well, because part of it is going out there and you have to audition like no one's ever seen you act before. Sometimes I'm like, can't I just send my show reel? I'm sure you've seen all my shows. This is just another character, but you still have to go and give it your all and put your heart on the line, because acting is such an intimate, personal thing. You're really putting yourself out there, You're playing this character that's outside of you. And to be told, nah, I'm just going to go with someone else, can be quite disheartening at first. But it's also, once you get past that, one of the most amazing things, because it reminds you that no matter what you go through in life, no matter what happened on Saturday night, if you're holding up an award for best actor, whatever, on Monday, you're just another working actor. You're just another person whose job happens to be on a public platform, which I think is the most amazing thing to remember, And then there's personal ups and downs of life. We all go through heartbreak. The one thing that fame cannot shield you from is someone breaking your heart. We're all waiting for the day that we can be rich and famous, and then our lives are going to be wonderful. Everything's going to be sorted. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be finally happy. My wife's going to love me. No, it doesn't work that way. Your wife's going to tell you to take out the trash and wash the dishes, which is great, because it reminds you you're a human being. But someone's going to break your heart, and you have to learn how to get over it. The only difference with us is when your heart gets broken, it's usually in the newspaper or magazine, so everybody knows. You're walking through Woolies or Checkers, and you can see that Danny's looking at you like, shame, man,
She just probably saw the front page of the report or the Sunday Times or
something.
And you didn't even see it, but the public has already read the story, and they're
exactly right.
Sure. Yeah, Tumisho, so tonight we have quite a variety of people on the call. We have mental health professionals, counselors, life coaches, people from all walk of life. We also have members of the public, people that just comes for a little bit of inspiration this evening, maybe just to come and fill their cup a little bit.
Yeah.
And you've had a phenomenal career so far, and you are setting the world alight with everything that you are doing. And every time you do it, you throw yourself 100% into a project. And I think if you can, from your perspective, just explain to us, or maybe just share with us, what is the emotional roller coaster you go through every single time you have to audition for something, you face rejection? What impact does it have on yourself, your own self-esteem? And then how does it impact your family and your the example that you want to set for your family?
That's an excellent question, actually, because the one thing I've learned is you either have, like, life is sometimes like a railway track. On one side is something amazing that's happening, and then on the other side is like the worst thing that's happening in the background as well. You know, you could be, I mean, I remember the first time I went to Hollywood to do a screen test. It was the most amazing trip I've ever taken. I was probably about 26 years old. That weekend was the Golden Globe Awards. They flew me first class. They picked me up from the airport in a limo. I got to be mistaken for Jamie Foxx because he won that night. And all the people kept thinking, hey, well done, Jamie. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. But at the same time, there I was going through a very difficult time in my personal life. I mean, my wife and I were basically separated. We weren't living together at the time anymore. And I was just in the shower before going to the Golden Globes, literally bawling my eyes out, you know, and then having to pick myself up, put on a nice suit, brush my hair, and get myself to this amazing place and hang out with the biggest superstars in Hollywood. I mean, I chatted with Matthew McConaughey, hung out with Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, so many people. And I was like thinking to myself, life is a funny thing. You know, you can be going through the most amazing thing in your life, but in your private life, in public, but in your private life, you could be going through the worst thing in your life. And life is just about, life doesn't care. It moves on. You know, like we say in our industry, the show must go on. You know, if you're doing a theater piece and we've got a show on Saturday and your mom passes away on Friday, you still got to be there on Saturday night. So I think the one thing about my job is it helps you compartmentalize. I know with every difficult thing that I've gone through, when I'm at work for those 8 hours, thankfully I play someone else. So I occupy someone else's, I guess I use my body, but someone else jumps in there for a time. And in those 8 hours, I can just get away from it all. And being able to take yourself out of a terrible thing that you're going through for a few hours in a day is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. I think a lot of the times when we get sad or depressed, you said it now, is we just want to sit on the couch. We don't want to get out of the bed. We want to stay in the house. But sometimes the best advice, one of the best advice that I ever got was wake up, make your bed, shower, put on something nice and a bit of cologne and get outside.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what you do, just get outside. And sometimes that's all we need, you know. We need to remind ourselves that things don't always happen in silos. Look for the things that are happening in your life that are a blessing. Because no matter what is happening, and I know it sounds like a cliche, but I've been through some things that I think I have the right to say that every cloud definitely has a silver lining. And you just got to wait till the end of the storm to see the rainbow.
Sure. I like what you just said to me. So, you know, because sometimes we put this persona, this mask, this fake identity forward because we don't want people to actually know who we really are. And if we put up a persona because we are not happy with who we are, and at the end of the day, it does not align with the role that we play. And when we look at our own life, we play this role, then we look at our own life and it doesn't match, the two doesn't match. It can be extremely difficult to overcome a challenge because it's just like a role that you play. It's a mask that you put up for certain circumstances. And do you sometimes feel, or do you sometimes act or pretend or do things as if you are someone else just to set yourself up for success?
I suppose. I mean, you have to have a great imagination to be successful. Because here's the thing about success. You first have to see it in your mind's eye. And you have to see it with all the clarity and detail of what is success to you. And once you have it in your mind, that's what you reach for. And once something sits in your mind, everything else follows. And we sometimes forget to dream. We forget because as we get older, we get a lot of disappointments. But if you don't see that success in your mind, if you don't see that picture of what success looks like for you, you won't get it. You know, you'll always be just floating along on the river of life and hoping that you land at some awesome oasis, but usually you'll just get onto a sandbank. So you have to see what you want. And I think the river of life will take you along there, you know, and it doesn't always take as quick as you think. I think that's also the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think we all think that I'm going to start this amazing business. It's a great idea. I'm taking out my pension, and within the next 6 months, I'll be turning a profit or at least making some income. It might not happen that way. It might take a year. You might be in between jobs or businesses, and it might take a while for that to happen. But in the meantime, I really believe that life always throws you gifts along the way. And whatever hardship you're going through is definitely making you a better and a stronger person. I don't care who says what. There's some things that you have to go through that once you've gone through them, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I'm actually not afraid to try and succeed because I've already failed. And I failed publicly, so I may as well try again.
Yeah.
You know, you played that video. In fact, I don't know if you played it, but you sent a video. I think I saw it on the top billing one. Where I'm celebrating my 41st birthday, and that weekend it was on top billing, you know. And a couple of days later, I'm in the boot of a car being hijacked, you know, going through a public divorce. And here's the funny thing: the night of my birthday, my best friend took my brand new car. My dream car, sports car, wonderful. And he took it for a drive and he burst 2 tires. And what you see there on the top billing night, I'm having this amazing night. I've spent all my money. I don't even have money to pay for the tires, but I don't get upset at him. I borrow my mom's little Jetta and I'm driving around. And the night I got hijacked, it was and I survived. I still believe it was because I was in my mother's car and not my own car. So the hijackers, even though they had me, they kind of could empathize with me because I wasn't this guy in the fancy sports car and whatnot and whatnot. But when my friend burst those tires on the night of my birthday and I didn't have money to replace them, my world was literally coming to an end. But that terrible thing was the very thing that saved my life when another terrible thing came along.
Wow.
You understand? But sometimes, you know, we're late in the traffic. We missed the bus or something like that. And we're like, oh God, why me? I really needed this. I was going for an interview and now I'm going to be late. And you get there, you don't get the job, blah, blah, blah. But you don't realize that maybe, first of all, you were saved from an accident that was going to happen if you're on time. If you had gotten that job, they probably would have made you work certain hours or lose parts of yourself in terms of your integrity and what you're doing that would have made you fall apart on the inside or lose your family. And at the time, we don't see that because we're living in the present. And that's okay. Live in the present. I always say, feel the pain, allow yourself to have a pity party. And I throw the best pity parties. I have great snacks, drinks, music, DJs, all of it. But I give myself a moment, like no longer than. So you can go be as pitiful as you want today, but tomorrow we get up, you know? And I think that's important for me. It helps me reset.
Sure. Wow. Sure. I love what you said there, Tumisho, you know, so when we do work with a client or, you know, we find it extremely frustrating to really have the breakthrough, to really move forward in life. We just need to know that everything is, we shouldn't ask why me, it's why not me. You know, and what am I supposed to learn from this? I really love that. I love that about your attitude, you know. You have this incredible understanding of how absolutely everything happens for a reason in life. And I really appreciate that from you.
Thank you.
So Tumisho, tell us, have you always wanted to be an actor? Have you always wanted to do that? Is it something that you like were born with, or was it, how did it all happen?
From the time I became conscious, I can remember having a conscious memory. It's all I wanted to do, be a performer. I either wanted to act, dance, sing, play music, do comedy, whatever. Be a rapper at some point. Who hasn't wanted to be a rapper? But this is what I wanted to do. And I think I've always wanted to be an actor more than anything else. I like expressing emotion, and I like telling a story. And I especially like telling a story in the medium of television and film. It's an interesting way to tell stories, because what we do every day is like building a small puzzle. You know, people think that you go to work and the whole scene is set up, and it usually is, but the cameras, there's like multiple cameras all over the place, and you just do the scene once or twice, and then that's it. Well done, get out of it. But what we might show on screen that's 5 minutes probably took us the whole day to put together. Yeah. Sometimes it can take us a couple of days. So you're doing one thing with the camera on this side, then you do the same thing with the camera that side, and you do the same thing with the camera that side, and over and over and over again. But each time you kind of have to do the same thing in a different way, if I can say it like that. Yeah. And it's really, for me, the thing that it's a calling. It's not something that I did to be famous. It's not something that I did for the money, because goodness gracious me, didn't I find out after a couple of years doing this that maybe there isn't money like we see in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you now, I cannot imagine doing any other job, even if, you know, in our country, the money might not be so great. But I'm thankful that it's enough. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm able to feed myself and my family, put my kids through school. And sometimes, you know, that's all we need. I think the modern world has made us so materialistic because we have social media and we have rich and famous people and we see their lives and we want those lives. And I don't think all of us will live those lives. And it's okay sometimes to be like, maybe that's never going to happen for me. I'm not saying stop dreaming, but that doesn't have to be the only thing that defines a great life for you. And I think sometimes in the modern world, we chase materialism so much that we're unhappy the whole time until we get it. And even when we think we've gotten it, we're still unhappy, right? Because things are not going to make you happier. They're just going to give you maybe more of a comfy life, but most likely add a few more problems along the way. But definitely, if you're using material things to improve your mental health, it's a losing game.
Sure. You know? You've shared so many nuggets here. I wish we can, you know, package them all and sell it somehow.
So do I.
It's really amazing to have you here this evening. Who's having a good time? Can I see a show of hands? Can I get some thumbs up, some streamers going? Yes, that's great. So Tumisho, you said something interesting, and it made me think about something that someone once told me, and I think, if I can remember correctly, it was actually a conversation I had with you, if I can remember correctly. It was about how many times we as humans are extras in our own movie of our own life.
Yeah.
And you know, we wake up and we just allow circumstances to dictate what happens to us today. We allow the things that happened yesterday to ruin today's experiences. And I know that you've had many circumstances and many challenges in your career, having, you know, from being the A-list that everybody calls, everybody wants you, everybody wants to work with you, to who's that, you know, who's that guy? We can't remember what he's like. And
I think even worse than that is just being a pariah, you know, being canceled, having to go through court battles and also and be known for something else. You know, you built this reputation your whole life, and in a matter of days, it's completely shattered, and having to I suppose rebuild yourself, you know.
Sure. And when you hit those hard times, and you did mention that one of the things that you always wanted to do was an actor. What was the internal process that you went through to say, okay, listen, this is the decision I made. This is what I always wanted to do. What is the small little things that you do every single day, or that you did back then, to keep your eye on the ball, to keep the fire alive, to make sure that you try one more time, that you go for one more edition, that you do not allow circumstances to dictate what you do, but that you keep your eye firmly set on what you set out to do and what you love to do?
Well, I think the first thing is recovery, right? And understanding that you can get through this, and what has been thrown your way as a test, maybe if you look at it as it's a test, because we always think of a test like you can fail a test, that kind of test. But if you think of a test like how they test gold, how they prove gold, I believe God doesn't test you, he proves you. You already have all those things inside you, and everything that comes along as a test puts you through a fire. That fire refines you like gold, pure gold. Everything that's not part of you, that's not supposed to be with you, just burns off you, right? But while you're in the fire, it's hot. I mean, you're going through it.
Yes.
And I always say, be in the moment, go through it, because when you try and pretend you're not going through it, it's far more painful. A lot of the things that I went through that I felt, okay, I can actually handle this, was when I accepted, when I just said, okay, I'm going through this. One of them was in my moment of being hijacked. It was the first time ever. It happened, and the last time I was already much older. I'd lived all this life without going through this criminal act. No one had even stolen my wallet. And here I am being held at gunpoint in my own hometown where I come from.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, Tumisho, we got to get in the moment, boy. We got to be here. This is where we are right now. Because if I'm thinking of somewhere else, I'm going to die. And the first thing I thought of is, okay, these guys are scared, just like me. But they're also, because they're scared, I know they're human. So if I'm a human to them, and I can get them to see me as human by making them see that I see them as human, not as robbers or hijackers. I see them as Majika guys. I might make it. And I remember, going through all of this, and they eventually figured out who I was, and we're talking, but initially they didn't know who I was. And at some point, I tried to escape because I thought I got an opening, and I failed miserably. I'm like, damn. Then they put me back in the car, tied me up this time. And then they took me to this dark place, like in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to die tonight. But I was like, if I do, the first thing I'm not going to do is beg, because then I'm surely going to die. I'm just going to be like, oh, well, it is what it is. And I just I did ask them. I was like, so guys, is this it? You guys going to kill me now? And I think at that moment when they realized, oh, dang, he knows something. He's not necessarily like terrified. He's not going to beg us. They softened towards me. And then we started talking. And then told them my life story. And then they told me their life story. And we were just sitting there in the middle of nowhere. I was smoking their cigarettes. And I was thinking, damn, this is weird, because they're counseling me like, hey man, things are going to get better. Your career is going to pick up. You're one of our favorite actors. We're still holding you up, I was like, things are going to get better for you guys too. You just got to stop this before someone kills you or you go back to jail. Maybe this is not the best thing to do, but it's good that I got to know you guys. And by the way, I know you've stolen my cell phone, but take out the SIM card so they don't arrest you, Yeah. Good luck, goodbye. And they were like, good luck, goodbye. And we both went our separate ways. It was just a weird ending to that story.
I guess you don't have their number.
No. They took my phone. I couldn't put it in my number. But I did promise them if we meet again, beers are on them.
Beers are on them. Fantastic. So Tumisho, you've had major success in the industry. You've also had challenges in your personal life. And, you know, those things happens to all of us.
Yeah.
And we all go through relationship challenges. We all go through breakups. We all go through tough times. We all go through times where we think that, you know, we're the only ones that is experiencing this and going through this difficult time. And you've now said it a few times, you know, everything happens for a reason. So if you look at your life today, your personal relationships today, your romantic relationship today, as well as the relationship you've got with your kids today, how's that different, or how do you think it has shaped those relationships that you've got today? Past experiences, how has it shaped the relationships that you've got today?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's made me more grateful for the relationships that I have, because, you know, ultimately life is only about relationships, guys. That's all it is. Like, we're put on this earth to have relationships with people and go through life bumping into each other, you know? And when you realize that the relationships you have are your most precious gift, then you realize that everything over and above that is a beautiful extra. And when we talk about cherries on cakes and the icing on the cake, a lot of the times we're chasing the icing, but you don't eat icing. It's a garnish. What you really want is the cake, right? You can have cake with no icing, but you definitely can't have icing with no cake.
Yeah.
And that's something to always remember. If we go around chasing icing or cherries on the cake all the time, and we lose the cake, we realize we have nothing.
Yeah.
But if we chase the cake, and that's our relationships, that's our family, that's our work environment, are we adding value? Are we helping grow the organization that we're part of? You know, if you work like you've got something to offer, work becomes a joy. If you work like you're waiting for someone to give you a paycheck, work becomes a pain because you just can't wait till you leave in the afternoon, you know? If you take the pain that you go through in your relationships like, oh, it's the end of the world and I'm suffering by myself, then you feel down. But if you take it as everything is also a work in progress, and things will, it sounds crazy, but they usually magically work themselves out. You know, if you stay together, if you're a married couple that's having some tough times and you thug it out, as they say on the streets, you might find that later on, you've allowed your marriage to marinate, to mature. And things are better when they're mature. I mean, if you think of what you are like as a teenager or a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old, I mean, I was crazy. And now we're 5 years, 6 years into a marriage and we're like, oh, it's too much. But your marriage is a child. Wait until you get to your 20s and 30s and see what happens on the other side. If it doesn't work out, then it'll probably work out with you on your own or with you with someone else. But either way, if you hang in there long enough, life will always work out. You just got to figure out the hanging in there part.
Wow. Sure. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, I'm so excited for this call this evening. And I would love to hear from our audience if there's any questions that they've got for you. So if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. So Tumisho, my next question for you is,
Trying to find the
if you have to, if there's a book that's going to be written about your life, and what would be the title be of that book? What would you want it to be?
I would say like lived, you know, lived, because it's like I lived. It was an experience. It was lived. There was a moment. There was life, and it was life in its fullest. I've done the most amazing things. I've done the most craziest things. I remember having a reunion on the weekend with some of my friends, and we've all turned 50 now, and there's 4 of us. And there was this picture that we took almost 30 years ago. And we're like, hey guys, let's recreate the picture. You know, we've made it. So many of our peers haven't.
Yes.
And it's not like we were trying to make it. You know, the joke was how we really tested our luck. You know, how the 9 lives really went to work. We were in Joburg back in the early or mid 90s, you know, when everything was transitioning and Joburg was this amazing funky place. You were in Hillbrow, Yeovil, Berea, party, but it was also hectically dangerous. And we were just saying, like, some of the stories that we've just survived, you know, we thank God that we're still here. But ultimately, I don't think it would have mattered if I hadn't made it past 40 or 30 or whatever. I just want to know at any given moment, if I was to go tomorrow, can I say I lived?
Yes, sure.
And if the answer is yes, I'm satisfied. It was time up. But if it's not, then I've got to go out there and live. And you know what? The funny thing about living is you're going to make some mistakes.
Yes.
You're going to fall flat on your face, and you're probably going to do it publicly where people can see you and go, look at that guy. And that's also fine. You're going to get up and you're going to be fine.
Sure. Yeah, that's amazing. That is seriously an amazing attitude, full of the joys of life. I told you guys, every time I speak to Tumisho, that is exactly the feeling I get, full of the joys of life. Whether it's good or bad, it is there as a gift. It's there to serve us. It's there to let us experience something. And I think you summarized it beautifully with the title of your book. If you say lived, you've lived everything, the good and the bad. You
Yes.
can really be the judge of what is good and what is bad because you've done it all.
Yeah. I see someone's asked Daniel, said, what is my nickname? It's
Yes.
Mash.
Mash.
Yeah.
My goodness. All right. I would not have guessed that one. So thanks for sharing.
It's
There's another
because
one here from
of
Samantha.
my surname, Masha. I had a Scottish teacher when I was in standard 2, which is now grade 4. And she
Okay.
couldn't say, for the life of her, she could never say Masha.
Masha.
Okay. So she always called me Masha. She had this voice, even though she was a lady, and she smoked like 20, probably 40 packs, well, 40 cigarettes a day, 2 packs in the classroom.
Yeah. Okay.
She was the most amazing woman because she taught me how to read well, like read aloud, like she was a no-nonsense teacher. So I'm a voiceover artist today and an actor because of how she taught me how to read.
Wow.
And she couldn't say Masha, so she'd always call me Masha. And the guys are like, ha, mashed potatoes, and it starts.
Okay.
I became Mash. Now I'm the Mash.
Fantastic. I'm never going to look at you now and not think about a potato. So thanks for that one. All right. So here's another one from Samantha. It says, do you have a daily mantra or a prayer that uplifts you and strengthens your faith?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has to have something bigger than themselves that they believe in. I'm like, pick one. I don't care what it is, but believe in something outside of yourself. And you know, I don't want to criticize anyone, but believing in nothing is quite a sad way to live life, because that means that everything that happens to you is by random and it's chance. So it's not happening because there's a greater good. It's just life. It's unfortunate. I believe that every morning when I wake up, first thing I do is I have a chat with God. Thank him that I'm awake. Thank him for my wonderful life. Every night when I go to sleep, same thing. So I usually read a daily devotional for myself. But what I realized is that a lot of people, in fact, a lot of people don't like to read, right? They might want to read, but they don't like to read. And a lot of people don't always get to do daily devotionals because they don't have time to read, because maybe they read slowly or they don't really like to read. So I started doing this thing from about almost 2 years now, where I read a daily devotional every day, and I post it. I send it out to people so that if you don't feel like reading it, you can just listen to me, you know? And that has really helped me so much, because it means I'm accountable every day to actually read my Bible, read my word, read what makes me strong.
Yes.
And by helping others, I'm always like acutely aware that I'm going through something bad right now, but if I let this take me out, I've got people who are depending on me. And how are they going to look at me and say, well, we thought you were a man of faith and then you went and shot yourself, you know? Like, I know that without like taking on everyone's problems, but I have a responsibility. I'm part of a community, and in that community, how I live my life is important to many people. It doesn't mean I'm living it perfectly. It just means that even when the tough times come, I have to get through them.
Yeah, just show up.
Yeah.
Just show up.
Mm.
And be counted. I like that. Thank you. So there's another question here. Malate asks, have you ever lost drive for what you do, especially during the times where you're down in life? If so, how did you build the courage to fight for your life again?
Wow. I suppose for a moment, during the moments of my pity party, I did lose drive for life. I'm not a very suicidal person, so I would never, I suppose, shoot myself, jump off a building or stuff like that. But I did go through probably about a year of drinking too much. I used to smoke. I stopped smoking now. Driving way too fast, being kind of reckless, thinking that, well, I'm kind of done with this life. So if I go, I go, And then one day I was sitting in my car, and I'm an 80s kid. So I heard this Laura Branigan song. I don't know if anyone remembers it. Ti Amo. Ti Amo. She's got that beautiful voice.
She does.
And I just, everything turned sepia, like those 80s pictures. I saw the world in sepia colors, like it was taken with one of those Kodak, shake and bake. And this voice that said, dude, if you die, your child is like a year or 2 years old, she's gonna be 10 years one day or 15 and trying to figure out what was her dad like, because you died too soon for her to get to know you. Is that what you want for her? And I was like, no, actually, I don't. I want to live long enough so that she at least gets to know me a little bit, and knows that there was a man who brought her into this earth and actually cared about her and loved her deeply. So that was probably last cigarette, last drink. That's it, guys. I'm out the game.
Wow.
And I think I never looked back. And sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to just say, okay, it's my last one. I'm out.
Yes.
See you.
Sure.
Peace.
Sure. Well, congratulations with that awareness. And it's not something that someone can actually help you to discover. It's something that you need to discover yourself.
Yeah, you've got to decide. You can't just live for you. Once you live for you, it's a very shallow life. But once you have to live for someone else, then it really helps. I mean, Tatenda's question was, how does one manage healing themselves from past trauma or going through a storm in a relationship, but you want it to work and still be the best mom and be the best of your clients? I think sometimes I'm no mental health worker, by the way. So a lot of my stuff is just anecdotal. But from what I've learned through life is some traumas in a relationship, if they're at a certain level, if there's abuse, I think it's not worthwhile, because it's probably not going to get better, and while you are going through it, one of you might die. But if there isn't, and it's sometimes tough, I think we all change. Sometimes I can change, you can change. I don't always advocate stay in there and tough it out. But I do think that trying again and going, okay, we flopped and failed, and having that chat and trying again and having difficult conversations, I think that's helped me in my marriage sometimes, where it's like, okay, I didn't like that. We're going to talk about it. And maybe we might not find a resolution in terms of this is how this is going to happen next time, but at least having that moment to talk about it. I think over time, things do get better. And yeah, I mean, if you got kids, you got to put as much of what you can into them by showing up as the best you possible. And sometimes doing that, giving yourself a moment to be like, I've got clients who've got problems too. I need to attend to them, helps you forget about your problems for a while and maybe even figure them out, because now you see them from an objective place. When we're too close to our problems, they seem huge.
Yes.
But when we back off, it's like, oh, like seeing an airplane in the sky. It's like, it's really small. But when you're next to it, it's massive.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with our problems. One thing a friend of mine once told me that really works for me is, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big your God is.
Sure.
That really helps me.
Yeah. That's huge. Jeez, like, thanks for that, Tumisho. That is an awesome insight. So I'm curious. There's a question here that says, is there anyone that you look up to or that inspires you? So I want to add on to that question. If you have a choice to sit down and have a conversation, not necessarily dinner, but have a conversation with someone famous or inspirational or influential, who would it be?
Oh, it's a tough one, hey? I think like a current famous person or even a past. I'd really love to chill with Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin. Wow. Okay.
I think that he was a tremendous human being. I think, I'm sure all of us have seen his comedic shorts or whatever, and it's like these old movies where this guy like just crazy and a little bit weird. But when you actually hear about his story and what he went through before he made those comedies, it's absolutely wild how tough his formative years were. And even while some of those things were going on, and the amount of empathy and compassion he had for people, especially children, and he just, no matter how things went, how much more famous he got. I mean, at some point he was the most famous person on earth. He made a fortune, but he always had a heart for people, and he wanted to live as simply as possible. So I'd like to sit with him and be like, how did you do it, Charlie? How did you always manage to make us laugh when you yourself sometimes are going through the most? And how did you win in life and still win in life by not letting the success become everything, but become part of just what you have? But what was important was his family,
Sure. Amazing. Anybody that currently that inspires you? Someone that you say, well, this person really inspires me. I draw energy from their success or from their being.
I think at the moment there's so many like people that have let us down in the modern era, who we looked up to. It sometimes can be difficult to say, who do I really look up to? But I have to say, when I'm a bit obsessed at the moment with everything Madlanga Commission, and all the men and women who tried their best in the most difficult circumstances to hold this country together. I look up to them so much. I'm reminded that there are people who do a really tough job out there for very little pay and huge amounts of danger just to keep me safe. And I'm super grateful to them, first and foremost. And I have a real respect for what everybody in this world does, because everybody who's doing something in their particular field and doing it well is helping this thing that we call our life, our society, keep going at a time when we can see so many villains in the piece that are trying to destroy this society that we have. And it's not the big people. It's not the people who are billionaires. It's the little people. It's the people who wake up every day and go and look after their kids and their spouses and their co-workers and their communities. And those are the people that actually are the biggest change makers. Those are the people that I look up to the most.
Sure. So thanks for sharing that to me. So it is so important, to know that each of us helps each of us to thrive and to live every single day.
That's
right. It's so important. So, as we come towards the end of our session this evening, I want to ask you, what is next for Tumisho? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what is it that you want to be remembered for?
Wow. I just want to be remembered as someone who tried their best and did achieve some of the things that he hoped to. But if nothing else, lived in such a way that people could see that life is beautiful in all the shades. The next 5 years of my life are going to be more focused, I think, on telling the stories, creating them instead of just being a part of them as an actor. I'm really keen to shape the zeitgeist of our world with positive stories. I think it's so important. It's nothing to be taken for granted that most of us were raised on Hollywood that showed us family values, that showed us that if you keep trying, the hero does win in the end. And I think those things can never be taken for granted, because sometimes those are the things that we go to in our minds when things are tough in our own lives. So I want to tell more of those stories, because I think media is propaganda. Now, that can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on who is behind that propaganda. Yes. There's already a lot of bad propaganda. I just want to bring in some of the good propaganda, if I can.
Sure. Amazing. Last question for this evening. Anybody else wants to ask something, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat box. But I want to know if your daughter have to make a decision about her life direction, or your kids, what advice will you give them? Will you tell them to follow their heart, or pick a career based on the reward it can bring? How would you advise? What would your advice be?
I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say, push your passion, because that's what I did. I had every opportunity to do anything else. I've been very fortunate that I could have studied and studied anything, but I chose this. And there were times when even my own parents are like, we don't think this is a good idea, because we would prefer it if you used the opportunities and the privilege that we've given you with buying you a great education. If you'd learn and study something, I don't know, more financially viable, I guess. And I said to them, don't worry, I'll always be okay. Yes. In fact, I'll look after you one day. And I've done pretty well for myself. So I'd like to say to my kids, first, do your calling, pick your real passion, because your talents will put you in front of kings. Your talent, not your skill. Okay, not what you learn, your talent. If you take it, you polish it, you work at it, and you get great at it, that's the gift that God has given you. It cannot be taken away. It's yours. There's a reason why you have it. Go and use it. And your gift doesn't have to be like anyone else's gift. Everyone thinks that the gift has to be, I'm a great soccer player, or I sing like Christina Aguilera. No, your gift can be being able to really empathize and talk to people in what you guys are doing in your profession. And instead of chasing maybe a more lucrative profession, you do what you do, and that can be so fulfilling, not only for yourselves, but the people who come through your door.
Sure. Amazing. Sure. Tumisho, I had the pleasure of speaking to you before, and I spoke to you this afternoon again, and now this evening. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And one thing that actually stands out to me is, and I want to share this with everybody on the call this evening, to say, Tumisho, I can really see in you that the bigger the test, the stronger the testimonial.
Yeah.
And your life is evident of, it doesn't matter what the test is that gets given to you to complete. When you complete that test, you come out on the other side, and your testimonial is so much stronger as a result of that test.
Thank you.
Is absolutely magic, and I enjoyed every single second of this evening. Is there any parting words that you want to leave with our audience this evening? Something that they can hold on to tomorrow morning when they don't feel like getting up and taking their day, or maybe feel a little bit frustrated with their circumstances? Anything that you want to leave with them?
Definitely. I'd like to tell everybody that your life matters. It doesn't necessarily have to matter to the whole world, but it matters to somebody. And don't ever forget that, because you might think no one sees or no one cares that you are on this earth, but just by being here, let's not talk about by being successful, by doing this, by losing weight, just by being here, you're making someone's life so much better. Never forget that.
Sure. Yeah, Tumisho, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And if I can ask everybody on the call this evening, just give them some love. Can I give some love for our friend Tumisho?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, guys.
We shared so incredibly without holding back. It was really awesome to have you on here this evening. Is there anybody that I see there was a hand raised? I don't know if there was a question that someone wanted to ask. Okay, going gone. All right, Tumisho, thank you so much for being here.
I was actually just showing some love. Hello?
Can you say that again?
No, I was showing some love. Thank you, Tumisho. It's so great to be talking to you, my man.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Just give me a second. I just want to quickly mute this. Here we go. All right, so guys, thank you very much once again for tuning in this evening. We have got a few.
Thank you, Mash.
Next week, Thursday, same time, same place. We will have another special session, a special evening. We're going to send out the recording a little bit later on this evening. So if you know of anybody that can find value from our platform on a Thursday evening, please invite them to come along. And then remember, for the serious professionals, we do have the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd of February. We have our Paradigm Practitioners training. You're welcome to reach out to me for more information. Tumisho, thank you so much. This has been very, very special. I really enjoyed it. And until we see each other again, I want to leave you with this. I will look after me for you. Will you please look after you for us?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a great evening.
Love that.
All the best.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.